from it.
But don't you think it also has to do with your age? Like if I was a Mitt's age, I would not be thinking.
No.
And I didn't think that way.
No, absolutely not. You gotta conserve and invest in quality high companies, not Palantir.
So no days off.
No.
Till there's a 3 in front of your
Vitaly, I disagree. At Amit's age, he should be investing in the most speculative things possible.
That's true. You're right.
Think about it.
Right.
When you were buying Tesla, it was a speculative. Enphase at the time when you guys were buying it was speculative. But that's why you guys are wealthy today, is because you were able to speculate when you were younger.
You have to
let me ask Vitaly and Carlos a question, and then guys, you guys can start putting some questions in the comments. We'll do questions the last 10 minutes. This person says, really want to ask you guys advice for early 20s, which I think will kind of coincide with my question. So answer that question that I just put up with this question, both of you. When you guys were investing in Tesla heavy in 2020, how strong really was
2018
or 2018? Sorry,
2016 and 20.
Yeah. So how strong really was the conviction when, to be honest, it very much was speculative? I mean, like it kind of is like Palantir in terms of just pure speculation. I know it has a lot more fundamentals going for it at that time, but how really confident were you guys that you weren't going to shit the bed and lose a crap ton of money? And how can you coincide that for someone?
Dude, when you're that young, it doesn't matter. Dude, you have
no, but they weren't that young. They weren't that young.
I wasn't that young. This is only like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
that is a good point. Okay,
so that's my point. How did you guys rationalize that?
Carlos, you want to go first? You want to take it first?
How did I rationalize that?
Like what you were in your 40s and you decided to put hundreds of thousands into that's a big risk. You're not like that's a very high risk.
I think it came with when you compare the risk.
We didn't have to put in hundreds of thousands, by the way, because we got it at a 40 billion valuation.
We got it
20x on us.
Yeah. Well, even tens of thousands is a decent amount of money. But
I put probably more into other things that haven't returned as much. And Tesla didn't return, mind you. Tesla was not returning money. This is before they were even profitable. It's just one of those things where I've been around long enough, like I've lived long enough to see how things turn out, how I thought something was going to be, and then how it turns out. Like I had a gut feeling Apple was going to be a really good bet. Had a gut feeling Netflix was going to blow up on me, and even Facebook at the time that was going to blow up on me, right? And seeing those things play out, and then going through enough of these crises, like 9/11, the 2008 crash. It just made sense that was where the world was going, and that Tesla had a 5, 6, 7, 10 year head start. I just could not see us still driving around.
Me and Carlos were literally, before even the podcast, the reason the podcast started that we have is that we were talking about Tesla all day long. Like when they were unprofitable, and the Model 3, I think, wasn't out yet or was coming out, something like that.
We were like right around when the Model Y was announced.
Right, but I'm saying that they weren't selling hundreds of thousands. Like I think they were selling tens of thousands of cars.
Tens of thousands.
And we were just talking about all the time. Like, how is this not the future? Like, like we saw it clearly that this was the future. So when I went pretty heavy into Tesla. But back then, even 5 years ago, my net worth was way different than it is now, thanks to Enphase and Tesla.
Thanks to Enphase and Tesla, yeah.
And I had real estate too. Like, it's funny that Tesla and Enphase are becoming almost more than the real estate in a matter of like 5 years. And the real estate I was been doing for 15 years. So that's how fast things could move if you're in the right position. But you can't just invest in anything. Tesla was on the way there. They were clearly a monopoly even back then in what they were doing. It was clear.
But how did you know that? Did you do your research or like what?
Because they did. That's the thing, right? That's the big differentiator between smart investors and dumb investors. Dumb investors follow people. Smart investors research other good investors and then follow them along too. You know.
Yes. And first of all, it's not the same as Palantir. We saw a clear way that they can scale their business massively. We saw the growth happening massively. It wasn't like a little bit of growth. We saw still even the small numbers, it was like 50% compounding even back then. But it was just like, well, we have thousands of cars. Oh, we have tens of thousands of cars. Oh, we're going to have hundreds of thousands next year. So we saw it moving in that direction. And that's why I believed, at least, I'm sure Carlos believed. It's not the same with Palantir. They were growing much faster.
Vitaly, but Amit right now sees that the same things that you guys saw in Tesla, he's seeing in Palantir. Now, who am I or any of us to say that he's wrong? He could be absolutely right. You know,
we're a panel of people who can say that.
Yeah. There were some people I remember, and I was one of them. Like, dude, some of these guys early when they used to pump Tesla, I used to be like, are you guys crazy? I'm looking at the valuation. It makes no sense. You got biggest short sellers in the world. Some of the
when we first started talking to you, Tesla was a point of contention, and Enphase in terms of, is the valuation justified?
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. After doing the research, that's when I changed a lot of the tunes that I had. But see, that's the thing about investing too, that you can't just look at companies on the surface level and just based on just stock metrics like balance sheets and stuff, because there are underlying factors that you may not be considering, and literally you could blow people up. Like look at Jim Chanos, one of the smartest guys in the world, right? Great, one of the greatest short sellers in the world. He's been shorting Tesla forever, and that's been one of his biggest losers, and it keeps being one of his biggest losers. So even the smartest investors got Tesla wrong. So that just goes to show you that we don't know what's going to happen. Well, I mean, Palantir. The one good thing about Tesla, though, that Palantir doesn't have, and maybe you can confirm this, Tesla is a tangible product that you can go out right now, test drive it yourself, use it, and understand.
Look, I agree. The only thing I'll say on this is there's two letters, and they're called A and I. And I think all of us are underestimating how important it's going to be for enterprise software. And if it is, and Palantir is the winner there, which maybe I'm wrong, but if it is, I think Palantir is explosive. And that is my bull case for it.
I think you think if Palantir does well, that automatically means that the stock price is going to go up. Palantir is an exciting company for a really small group of people.
Carlos, I agree with you. They have to literally grow their revenues in order to justify the premiums. I agree. They can't grow at 17% year over year. My argument, simple argument, because I've done 1,000 videos on them, so I would hope you give me a little bit of the benefit of doubt.
Oh yeah,
as I've seen every industry they are working within, as I've talked to people that have renewable energy companies that are saying we are using Palantir and we are saving a couple cents a day because of the efficiency of their software, which translates to $88 million of revenue and savings per year. That is the light bulb that is making me say, this has to be scaled.
In fact, I think Chris hit the nail on the head why Palantir will never be as valuable a company as Tesla or even Enphase.
No one says it's going to be $1 trillion.
Hold on.
That's not what I'm arguing.
The reason is because
in terms of return for investors,
I can go outside and I see a Tesla driving, and my neighbor wants one after he sees it. And then I want one after I see it. And then now I have two. Now my neighbors see it. They're talking to me about it because now they want it.
This is a B2B company. It's not $1 trillion.
This is what I'm saying. Well, why are you going into something that's harder for you to 10x as opposed to something
Tesla's
that's
already
more
$700 billion?
But if you
you got your 20x.
No. But what do you have any idea how many S curves on? You know what? Somebody that's born 5 years later than you will make so much more money because they won't be spoiled by the knowledge of like this valuation right now. You're almost a victim of your own knowledge of where Tesla's come from, and you think it's come from this. It's come from 20 billion to where it is now. It can't possibly 5x.
Can we be a little realistic? You think Tesla's going to be 6 trillion in the next couple of years?
I do think that Tesla will be the first 5 trillion and $10 trillion company. Yes.
No, I agree with you. Maybe, but a 10x on 700 billion is what?
It's like 700 billion now. What is it right now?
10x. No, it's like 600.
Well, it's like 5-6 trillion. Like that's to imagine Palantir going from $7 to $70 is just way more reasonable to me.
600 billion
going from 500 to 5,000. Right.
So okay, but forget about that for a second.
Did you see Ron Barron on CNBC how he was justifying like how you even get just get that to 3.5 or 4 trillion dollars? You take
Ron
10
million
million vehicles,
billion off of Tesla. He can talk his shit. He deserves to.
But this is by 2030. I'm saying this is by 2030. Just even if they hit their stated goals, and Tesla has for the most part hit their stated goals. The timeline say with like AI or full self driving is different from hitting their production goals, right? Like he's hit their production goals. If they hit their production goals at an average sale price of $50,000, that's a $5 trillion company with the multiples that you put on that.
Carlos, here's a simple question. When you look at Elon Musk, just as a business person, forget about Tesla for a second, just as a business person, would you invest with, if you had A or B, Karp or Elon, the next business that he starts, who do you invest with?
Oh, of course.
No, I'm asking Amit.
Oh, for me, it's a no-brainer.
Well,
I would obviously invest in Elon, but I think that analogy makes no sense.
Of course, it does make sense. If I was given Elon, Badri from Enphase, or Karp, I would obviously Elon is first. If I'm not allowed to go with Elon, I go with Badri. Then
you don't
if I can't
like
go with Badri. I say forget it.
Got to protect
but it's like you don't have to like Karp to just not think he's.
No, I get it. I've heard your bear case on Karp, but now every time you guys
he's not good with money. He's not a good businessman.
No, do you trust you? You would
admit that he's not a good businessman.
I honestly think you guys sound ideological and incredibly dogmatic every time your bear case for Palantir is Karp.
Dude,
Like,
why
if you
can't you
blame
just say
the CEO
he is
for
not
But
the
he's
right
the CEO.
person
He's the
to lead
CEO of the company. My bull case on Apple would have been Steve Jobs. My bull case on Tesla has a largely to do with Elon Musk. So why isn't it fair to say that the bear case is the CEO? I do think if what's his name? If Karp quits and you put a guy that just talks numbers, Palantir shoots up to your 70 bucks.
And
But he's got to
I
go.
actually believe it's probably a 3x right away when Karp is gone.
If he goes.
Amit, one of the things that you have to consider is the level of there are going to be CEOs that are cut above the rest, where they can do things and they can pivot, they can see things around the corner that other people can't. And when you have a strong candidate, like I'll give you an example, Frank Slootman from Snowflake. While the product you can analyze as much as you want, that Snowflake does this, Snowflake does that. When you have leadership that's, has had multi-billion-dollar success stories in the past, that just goes to show you that whatever magic that they had in the past, they can come and translate it and put that into effect in this new company.
Look, I get it, and I'm so mad this turned into Karp, because that's not the conversation.
No, but
it should be the conversation.
No,
He's the leader of the company.
No, it can't. Because Chris, you're talking
No,
about.
but let him talk. Let him make his point. Let him make his point.
No, I've heard Chris a million times explain Frank Slootman and execution. I get it. I've heard it literally every podcast. I understand it. I've heard you guys every podcast talk about Karp. The problem is, if we can for 2 seconds exclude the CEO, if we can be not dogmatic enough to actually talk about the tech and the product, I don't think we can have a debate outside of Chris, because you and Carlos have simply not done the level of research that's required to understand the tech and the product. You hate Karp and you hate the sales strategy. If that's the case, then that's fine. We can disagree on that. But every time we have this conversation, you guys can't be like, well, Karp's an idiot. Because then
why not? Because the leader matters.
This is a great comment right here. Everyone hated Elon before.
No. The leader matters of the business. Forget about. I'm not saying hate. This has nothing to do with hate. I'm saying
did not like Elon
businessman.
until Tesla went to the moon.
Dude,
I don't
I'm not
think
talking
so.
about
No,
hating
no.
Elon. I'm talking about a business person. Who is a better business person? Elon is a better business person than Karp. Flat out, there's no debate with anybody.
Wait. Hold on. Why? Hold on. How is that at all relevant to the argument I'm saying about AI?
He can't give you your 10x's if he's a bad business leader. He just can't do it. That's the guy that can't do it.
Yeah.
Dude, I invested in a little company FUV with what's his name? Mark. Great guy. Fabulous guy to chat with. He just can't do it.
So you lost money in a shitty stock because of a lot of reasons outside of the CEO. It was a shitty stock, and that sucks. You lost some money on that.
I didn't lose. I actually made money.
CEO, in your opinion, is shitty. And again, your opinion. This is a guy that is shaking hands with some of the most important leaders of the world, getting business deals done. Maybe not at the level you want him to get done, but to call him an idiot, call him a shitty poetry, pot smoking head, whatever. Not only is it disrespectful, but it ignores the technology that the company is building that allows him to get a meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky.
Do you? Okay, I think that's what do you mean? Allows him to get a meeting? Nothing. The CIA bought him the ticket and put him right there. This is part of my bear case.
Who sounds like a zealot, by the way? Us or him?
My question is: do you fundamentally believe that Karp wakes up every day and thinks about creating value for shareholders? Do you think he fundamentally cares about the shareholders of the company?
Yes.
Or what is he most motivated by? Or is it self-interest, power? What do you think really is at the core of his motivation?
The core of his motivation is Western democracy and making sure he upholds that. Now, you might be like, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Well, that has financial returns because he's talked about the bigger shareholders, which are the employees that have options that he said are not going to be profitable or not going to give appreciation on until they become GAAP profitable. He talked about this in Q4 2022. So he said, look, we know Wall Street's not going to love us until we become GAAP profitable, which means our employees are going to get killed. If anything, he cares a lot about those employees that have been there for 17 years, wants them to do well, which means he's going to get the company to be GAAP profitable. I don't know if that's a 20x, but I do think from 7 to 70, as the TAM is growing for AI and they have the software that is premier in being able to implement it across every.
I think the only good point you have.
That's where I think Palantir has.
Honestly, the point you have, if they get rid of Karp, they do better. But the fact that the TAM of AI is obviously on a growth trajectory might be enough to get you your 3 to 5, 10x. That's possible just by itself.
Well, we all agree.
Not because this guy is good.
Well, we all agree that AI is like the next coming of the internet to an extent. We all agree.
It's the next gold rush. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's the case, and we're talking about picks and shovels, and again, you guys haven't done the research on all the ways Palantir has operationalized AI in various sectors. Where, like, climate change is a healthcare and climate change are both multi-trillion-dollar industries. Yep. If you guys even knew some of the partnerships Palantir has in the healthcare and climate change space of how they're solving big data problems, because these are data problems, you would just be amazed at the valuation it is now in comparison to the potential TAM and the potential 5 to 10x. That's very easy if they execute. Execution is the risk. I agree with you. But I don't think Karp being a poet is the risk. Like I just
no, but
don't
that's
get how
the but
risk.
Amit, what we're trying to say, and maybe these guys are a little bit different. Me, I've done the research on Palantir. I think it's a great product. I think everything that's like out there is great. I think Alex Karp was able to nurture this baby and make a very, very good product. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. My thing is when it comes to sometimes even founders, right? Founders have founderitis where sometimes they know where the industry is going, but they have a dogmatic thinking that prevents them from taking it to the next level. Sometimes the best CEOs are the ones that know, hey, let me step down and put someone else forward who knows how to actually run the business, be able to
If Karp
monetize
stepped
and
down, I would
grow
sell all my
that.
Palantir tomorrow. And that's just
See,
that's
but
the difference between all of
that's
us.
so wrong. That's so wrong. That's
not so wrong. I don't trust Sham to run the ship.
No, but you without looking.
Who are they going to replace him with?
So
Chris?
technically, you're not investing in Palantir. You're just investing in Alex Karp because you
know.
just said
no. There's a lot of people that sold Apple after Steve Jobs. Like my say.
Yeah,
and those people are all miserable right
but
now.
Apple makes iPhones. Like Palantir works with
No,
government.
no,
and
but
you
that's
need a
what
guy like Karp to be able to get governments on board.
But Amit, that's the point that we're trying to make. That look, are you investing in Palantir or are you investing in Alex Karp?
I'm investing in both. Obviously, I'm investing.
No, you're not. You're not based on that last.
I just want to say this is the best Palantir weekly ever.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying based on that last statement, that's objectively false.
No,
you just said
because if an investment thesis involves management, technology, and leadership, I hold leadership at like a really high part of my thesis, which means now if they replace Karp with someone amazing, then I would consider it. But if he just steps down tomorrow, of course, I'm like, wait, something's wrong if Karp's leaving.
So then a flip side question would be, what was it about Elon Musk's management style that made you wait so long to invest in Tesla?
It wasn't Elon's fault.
You were throwing money at Palantir.
It wasn't Elon's fault. I was just a dumbass. I was in college. I was an idiot. In 2019, 2020, I was just graduating college. I had no idea about the stock.
Okay, but the day that you bought your 25,000 in Palantir, the day that you bought that,
it was over a couple months.
Okay, over a couple months. But what made you buy that? What made Alex Karp, for you, feel more investable than Elon Musk at that time? What was it about him?
Hey,
you said, I'm going to trust him with my money because we had a choice.
Well, remember at that time, Tesla was already, again, pretty highly valued in comparison to Tesla. It was 2021. 2021 was crazy. And I didn't understand valuations at the time, but I still knew Tesla it felt harder for me to see the 3-4x on Tesla versus something like Palantir.
But you did consider that? Like you were actively like, I should think about this, but the valuation
of course, in 2020. But Tesla was running up like 20% every other day. Like it was insane in 2021, right? I'm exaggerating, but at that level, I'm just like, all right, it doesn't feel comfortable. Whereas Palantir stayed I didn't buy at the 40s or 30s. I started buying at 20 to 23. And it was
Carlos,
like 6 months.
Me and Carlos, by the way, we had shares and we're like, okay, we're not buying it over 1,000. We're not doing this because before the splits, we're not doing it. Okay, we're buying at 1,000. We're not buying at $1,500.
Right.
Let's buy some shares at 15. We're not doing it at 2,000. Okay.
There was a day when they were announcing
they were still up.
Yeah,
crazy.
They were announcing a SpaceX launch, and it always pops after like a good successful launch. And I was like, I gotta find money. I like
either I'll be right or I'll be wrong. I feel, and this is where if I'm wrong, I'll gladly admit I'm wrong. But at some point, you've done so much research where you're like, I'm gonna go home with the ship and see if my research.
The problem is you're forgetting.
Vitaly and I did a bunch of research and hundreds of hours probably of interviews and discussions about that company FUV, and it went under.
But FUV
doesn't matter how much you invest.
We did already like at least 50 hours of research on Karp and Palantir, and it's like the stupidest company to invest in. Honestly, it's a waste of our time talking about it. Even I don't want this podcast to evolve into this shitty company.
It's just when you say stupidest company to invest in because of Karp, that's where you become too ideological to me.
I'm not, because
no one in their right mind who has
you have to follow the leadership.
Degree.
It seems like you're not following the leader, and the leader is not a good businessman, nor is he a good technologist. He actually does not understand what he's actually doing. And he never talks about the actual technology in enough detail.
No. You have to stop talking right here. You have not watched his Palantir ontology videos where he's talking with Akash. Chris knows the one where he's literally cutting off the CTO to explain him technical terms. You have not seen those videos. And that's okay because I don't expect you to. But these are real things that exist. I will link it to you in 2 minutes.